right, I am live. Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to episode 860 of the Black Brain Trust. This is Black Cultural Intelligence, Old World Energy, Steampunk, and Mechanical Animals. Ha! Yeah, I know. Crazy title, right? Um, yeah, sounds crazy, but you know, much like the Old World EV live stream, we're actually going to talk some real old world technology, right? Like real hardcore stuff, like, you know. So, there, I did embellish a little bit on the title, but then at the same time, um, these machines that we're going to look at and talk about do have a mechanical animal element to them, right? So I think the script is very apropos. Let me do this before I get into my spiel. Mhm. Okay. Pleasantries have to be exchanged, obviously. Welcome, everyone. And if you could do this for me, let's see here. Let me do that right there. Um, and music it is. Okay. Okay. All right. And then if you could, I just wanted to use like kind of like a target year for this number. So if the sound and everything sounds okay, if you guys can just press that, that lets me know everything's all good. Because I don't want to like start getting all into this stuff and the sound sucks, right? Okay. So um oh yeah. Little Rock. Peace, man. Welcome. All right. So. Okay. So what is this all about? Okay. So, Old World Energy falls much in line with the last live stream we did on Old World EVs, micromobility, hybrid cars, and stuff like that. Basically, the whole point is that we want to kind of uncover the technological age at the time of the 20th century because, much like in that last live stream, I don't think people were aware that things like hybrid cars and stuff like that existed in the early 1900s, right? Or let's just say even in the late 1800s, electric cars that could go 100 miles on a charge. So, if that was the case, then that means that energy production and things of that sort also had to kind of be at parity for the technology of the time, right? Um, so I want to start with the steam engine paradigm, right? Um, that's about as close to modern day commercial energy production in terms of the machinery that still exists today. Like I said, I'm a geek for old machines, right? Old machines, how they work, restoration and all that. I'm into all that, like taking old engines and stuff and tearing them down and restoring them, right? So that's kind of what's led me sort of down this whole rabbit hole of technology, right? And you can thank my mentor Danny for that. Um, however, um, there is a very interesting person that we have to kind of springboard this conversation. We need to speak about one Elijah McCoy. Okay. Elijah McCoy was an individual who essentially patented and designed uh, the lubrication system for uh, commercial and large output steam engines that made them commercial grade. So this is the guy that the thumbnail that you see. Okay. Um, the term the real McCoy, if you guys are familiar with that term, or if you've ever heard it, the real McCoy comes from him. And so what it was is that you had, because the patenting system, and all that at that time, and there was a lot of, just like today, right? A lot of theft and stealing of IP, intellectual property, and what have you. However, much like today, um, if you're not buying the authentic piece, then you're essentially getting a lower grade quality of something, right? And so you had a lot of people who tried to duplicate the engineering in his lubrication systems for steam engines. And the way you knew whether you had a real McCoy lubrication system on your steam engine was if the thing blew up or failed after so many hours of operations, right? You see, so when somebody was in line to buy like a steam powered engine or something like that, they would always ask, is that lubrication system the real McCoy? So that is where that comes from. Just a little tidbit there. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pull up Wiki and let me get my phone. And welcome to everyone joining us for this evening live stream to talk about old world energy. Give me a second. All right, there we go. Okay, I can see it just fine on my phone. All right, cool deal, cool deal. All right, Elijah McCoy. Elijah McCoy, May 2nd, 1844 to October 10th, 1929, was a Canadian American engineer of African American descent who invented lubrication systems for steam engines. Born free on the Ontario shore of Lake Erie to parents who fled enslavement in Kentucky, he traveled to the United States as a young child. When his family returned in 1847, becoming a U.S. resident and citizen, his inventions and accomplishments were honored in 2012 when the United States Patent and Trademark Office named its first regional office in Detroit, Michigan, the Elijah J. McCoy Midwest Regional Patent Office. Now, I did bring up the whole patent thing with him and stuff. That's the real McCoy and all that. So, in a nutshell, there you go. That's the reason why they went ahead and honored him in 2012 with that. Elijah McCoy was born in 1844 in Colchester, Ontario, to George and Mildred Goins McCoy. At the time, they were fugitive slaves who had escaped from Kentucky to Ontario via helpers through the Underground Railroad. I want to say that came up on a previous Old World live stream we did, but we'll maybe at another time we'll revisit that because I said that yeah, no, that's what I said. There's going to be a live stream I'm going to do where that's going to actually be part of the subject matter. George and Mildred arrived in Colchester Township, Essex County, in what was then called Upper Canada in 1837 via Detroit. Elijah McCoy had 11 siblings. Damn. 10 of the children were born in Ontario from Alfred 1836 to William 1859. So they got it in for show. Upper Canadian schools were segregated under the Common Schools Act as amended in 1850, and McCoy was educated in black schools in Colchester Township. Did you guys know that there were black schools in Canada? Did you guys also know that the first hockey teams in Canada were black? Just thought I'd throw that out there. At the age of 15 in 1859, Elijah McCoy was sent to Scotland. While there, he was apprenticed and after studying at the University of Edinburgh, he was certified as a mechanical engineer. Based on 1860 tax assessment rolls, land deeds of sale, and the 1870 U.S. Census, it can be determined that George McCoy's family moved to Ypsilanti, Michigan, in the United States in 1859 to 1860. By the time Elijah returned, his family had established themselves on the farm of John and Marion Starkweather in Ypsilanti. George used his skills as a tobacconist in order to establish a tobacco and cigar business. Because having that fire smoke, you know, That's money. When Elijah McCoy arrived in Michigan, he could find work only as a fireman and oiler at the Michigan Central Railroad. In a home based machine shop in Ypsilanti, McCoy also did more highly skilled work, such as developing improvements and inventions. He invented an automatic lubricator for oiling the steam engines of locomotives and ships, patenting it in 1872 as improvement in lubricators for steam engines. And if you guys want the patent, it is actually right here, and I will post that for you. My big bro Nagone. The man was a genius. Absolutely. He sure the hell was. Rael, what's going on with you, bro? Welcome. Similar automatic oilers had been patented by him previously. One is the displacement lubricator, which had already attained widespread use and whose technological descendants continued to be widely used into the 20th century. Lubricators were born for railroads as they enabled trains to run faster and more profitably with less need to stop for lubrication and maintenance. By 1899, the Michigan Bureau of Labor and Industrial Statistics reported that the McCoy lubricator was in use on almost all North American railroads. Hello. Wait a minute, dude. Yo, improvement in lubricators for steam engines. Let's make this a little larger. Okay. This is the diagram patented July 23rd, 1872. Patent number 129843. Okay. McCoy continued to refine his devices and design new ones, and was noted in periodicals of the time, including Railroad Gazette. Did y'all know there was a periodical called Railroad Gazette? Most of his patents dealt with lubricating systems, including a further patent in 1898, which added a glass sight feed tube to monitor the rate of lubricant delivery. And this is the patent number right there for that. Let's drop the link. I'm gonna just post all this because this is super 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 interesting. And let me tell you something too, man. Um, I'm gonna show you guys some machinery that utilizes the technology that he pioneered, and I'm talking about this is for like large scale stuff. And things like the sight feed tube, the little glass sight feed tube, those are on, like, even on oil engines they have those as well. And I'm saying that the system for being able to, like, be able to look at this little glass tube, and you can see it, if you see the levels at a certain level, then you're like, okay, it's operating properly. If it's high or low, then you're like, whoa, something's up, right? So he created that sight feed tube to, so that you would to enable you to gauge, right, the pressures of the operations of the engine and stuff like that. That was him. After the turn of the century, he attracted notice among his black contemporaries. Booker T. Washington. I think you guys might be familiar with that guy. Shout outs to my guy Rael, man. My bro, Rael. Shout outs to him. Booker T. Washington, in Story of the Negro, 1909, recognized him as having produced more patents than any other black inventor up to that time. This creativity gave McCoy an honored status in the black community that has persisted to this day. He continued to invent until late in life, obtaining as many as 57 patents, most related to lubrication, but others also included a folding ironing board, right? That thing right there, and a lawn sprinkler, that thing right there. Lacking the capital with which to manufacture his lubricators in large numbers, he usually assigned his patent rights to employers or sold them to investors. In 1920, near the end of his career, he formed the Elijah McCoy Manufacturing Company. This popular expression, typically meaning the real thing, has been attributed to Elijah McCoy's oil drip cup invention. One theory is that railroad engineers looking to avoid inferior copies would request it by name and inquire if a locomotive was fitted with the real McCoy system. What was I just telling y'all? And I'm gonna keep it a buck. I didn't read all this. I've been known this about Elijah McCoy. That's where that term comes from, the real McCoy. Okay. His shit was the real deal. This theory is mentioned in Elijah McCoy's biography, The National Inventors Hall of Fame. The expression, the real McCoy, is first published in Yorkville, Ontario in 1881. Later, the December 1966 issue of Ebony, in an advertisement for Old Taylor Bourbon Whiskey, made mention of Elijah McCoy. But the most famous legacy McCoy co- left left his country was his name. Other possibilities for its origin have been proposed, including it being a corruption of the Scottish name Ray McKay, whatever the fuck. And while it has undoubtedly been applied to the epithet of other McCoys it associated with Elijah, its association with Elijah has become an iconic American parlance. Okay, so what I wanted to do was open this up by letting you know that steam power was the order of the day at this time. And it was this brother right here, okay, who made steam engines, steam power, locomotives, power generation systems, all that far more profitable, far more operable due to his systems. Okay. Now, let's do this. Here, I'm going to check the chatto real quick. Booker T up in this piece. Damn right. 57 patents. Mm-hmm. Manuel Briggs, what's going on? Post all links. Will do. Let me post this one right now, actually. Let me do that. Thank you, Spawn. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna show you guys. This is an industrial steam engine. That is it's still operational. Okay. It is used in a backup capacity, but it's typically a museum piece, right? So they have tours to show old industrial steam powered engines, right? But let me just show you like what it was that his stuff was used for, right? Outside of just, locomotives and stuff like that, right? But I don't think people have ever seen shit like this. Hold on. Okay, let me check my phone. Okay. So I'm gonna take the sound off. I don't want to do any strikes or anything like that. But this is the startup of a big triple beam steam engine, and this was used for power generation in the 1920s. So I want you to just look at this is the starter right here for the engine, right? So and it uses an immense amount of steam power to get this thing moving. But then once it starts spinning the crankshaft, and I don't know if you can see that, but that is a piston rod right there. Okay, this is a huge engine. Okay, it was Elijah McCoy's lubrication systems that enabled these types of things to be efficient. Okay, because this is what was utilized uh, to produce energy at the time. There's a thought or a notion that electricity and energy was like, um, it was just hard to come by or something like that, right? But then if you go back to the old world EV live stream that we did, if that were the case, how were electric cars so prolific at the time? Maybe because you had energy generation systems like this that had lubrication systems that made these things effective and functional, created by brothers that look like us, right? So, this is part and parcel to the previous live stream that we did because, again, how do you, how, those Fritchley automotive, those 100-mile electric cars, how are you getting the energy to charge this stuff? And how are there so many cars and so many batteries being built and all this kind of stuff, right? Like, we have to ask these questions, right? Again, this is them starting the engine. Let me fast forward it. There we go. Now you see the crankshaft starting to spin and you see the steam pumping out, right? It's pushing this thing, right? That's the flywheel right there. And then there it is right there. There's the rod and there's a huge piston at the top here. Okay, and this is the crankshaft right here. This is a massive engine. Okay. This thing is huge. Okay, let me fast forward a little bit more so you can see this thing actually going. This is what an old world power station looks like, a steam powered power plant. There it is now. There now it's moving at full song right there. And this thing is still operational. It's still hooked up to the grid. It's just as its operation is right now, it's doing nothing but just putting whatever it's making into the grid. But this is more of like a backup type of thing. They have to kind of keep it like this to keep it in operation. But look at the massive size of it. Incredible. Here, and I'll post the link for this so you guys can deep dive into old industrial steam engines. But it was brothers like Elijah McCoy that made that type of stuff possible. Absolutely. Those babies powered boats as well. They sure did. They sure did. The only difference is today they're diesel. They're not steam. They're diesel. That's the only difference. Which we are about to get into right now. Now, because this may be, I don't know. I don't know how long this live stream is going to be because we're talking about energy generation that coincides with the automotive technology in the last piece that we covered, right? So we talked about steam, we covered steam powered vehicles, we also covered electric. Um, and so we're talking about steam powered generation, steam powered energy generation, and we're going to cover diesel because it was diesel that came behind steam power. And the reason why is because, uh, based on the design of the diesel engine, it did have more, it basically produced up to four times more um, energy, right? Let's just say like per stroke of the engine than steam power, right? So steam did what it was able to do for the time, but if you could use a more combustible element, then you could generate more power, for volume. Like so, where they talk about like horsepower per liter and stuff like that, right? So we're talking about energy production in a smaller contained type of engine. So that's what led to the diesel engine, right? So let's do this. I want to bring up somebody. Let me pull them up here. Let me screen share. And like I said, dude, we're just this is just one of these types of deep dives here. Rudolph Diesel. Okay, you guys are familiar with what a diesel is, right? Diesel engine. Okay, this is a very interesting character right here, Rudolph Diesel. Real quick. So word is that he was taken out because he did not want to hand over just that easily his technology. Um, but let's talk a little bit. Let's cover him real quick because there is going to be something in here that is going to tie in.
Cover California is
Okay,
the
wait,
police service
give
around
me
the
a
state
second
that's already helped
here.
millions of people like you get
What the
in and
heck
for
is
health
that?
insurance. With financial help to lower the cost of health.
Okay, there it goes. Sorry about that. All right, let's go back over here. Okay, Rudolf Christian Karl Diesel was a German inventor and mechanical engineer who is famous for having invented the diesel engine, which burns diesel fuel. Both are named after him. Diesel was born, he at 38 Rue Notre Dame de Nazareth in Paris, France, in 1858, the second of three children of Elise and Theodore Diesel. His parents were Bavarian immigrants living in Paris. Theodore Diesel, a bookbinder by trade, left his hometown in Augsburg, Bavaria in 1848. He met his wife, a daughter of a Nuremberg merchant, in Paris in 1855 and became a leather goods manufacturer there. Shortly after his birth, Diesel was given away to Vincennes farmer family where he spent his first 9 months. Damn. Where he returned to his family, they moved to the flat 49 in the Rue de la Font Aurore. At the time, the Diesel family suffered from financial difficulties. Thus, young Rudolph Diesel had to work in his father's workshop and deliver leather goods to customers using a barrow. He attended a Protestant French school and soon became interested in social questions and technology. Being a very good student, the 12-year-old Diesel received a Société pour l'instruction. My French sucks. Bronze medal, and had plans to enter École Primaire Superior in 1870. Well, what I want to do is I want to get to where he does the engine. Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Okay, ever since attending lectures of von Lin, Diesel worked on designing an internal combustion engine that could approach the maximum theoretical thermal efficiency of the Carnot cycle. Okay, and just real quick here, uh, the Carnot cycle is the ideal thermodynamic cycle proposed by French physicist Sadi Carnot in 1824 and expanded upon by others in 1830 and 1840. By Carnot's theorem, it provides an upper limit of efficiency on any classical thermodynamic engine during the conversion of heat into work. Okay, so that is a fundamental concept of a diesel engine because a diesel engine fundamentally does not necessarily work on spark, it works on compression. Okay, that is a very key point. In 1892, after work on this idea for several years, he considered his theory to be completed. In the same year, Diesel was given a German patent. That's the number right there, 67207. In 1893, he published a treatise entitled Theory on the Construction of Rational Heat Engine and Replacement. And wait, okay. Theory and construction of a rational heat engine to replace the steam engine and the combustion engines known today. Gonna give you this link so you guys can trace all this. I told you, dude, I am a geek for this shit. There you go. Right there. All right. Because what I tell you guys earlier, it was the diesel engine that replaced the steam engine that he had been working on since early 1892. The treatise formed the basis of his work and on the development of the diesel engine. By summer 1893, Diesel had realized that his initial theory was erroneous, leading him to file another patent application for the corrected theory in 1839. Now, just real quick, there's something I heard about this. What happened was that he had gotten investment for like I said, like the first variant, right? Okay, so the first round of investment, this is from my kind of research on this, right? So the amount of funding that he actually had covered, say, like, I think like 2 to 3 versions of the engine. So the money that he had, he was able to develop like 3 versions of the motor, right? So he was able to do an upgrade 3 different times. But see, there was a fundamental error with every time he did it. There was the same error was there, right? So um, what's said is that when he was able, when he actually found the error, he got another round of funding, but see, based on the amount of the money that he owed for the first series, right? It was kind of compounded, but then the potential for the new engine that he made because he fixed the error was great. This is where all the crazy stuff happened with him. Diesel understood thermodynamics and the theoretical and practical constraints on fuel efficiency. He knew that as much as 90% of the energy available in the fuel is wasted in a steam engine. What was I telling you? His work in engine design was driven by the goal of a much higher efficiency ratios. In his engine, fuel was injected at the end of the compression stroke and was ignited by the high temperature resulting from the compression. Remember, I told you just a minute ago, it works on compression. From 1893 to 1897, Heinrich von Busch, director of something in German, gave Rudolf Diesel the opportunity to test and develop his ideas. The first successful diesel engine motor, 250-400, was officially tested in 1897 and is now on display at the German Technical Museum in Munich. Okay, I want to get, oh shit, disappearance and death. I don't know if I want to cover this part. I don't want to get too deep into this. However, what I do want to cover is this right here. Use of vegetable oils as diesel engine fuel. In a book titled Diesel Engines for Land and Marine Work, Diesel said that in 1900 a small diesel engine was exhibited by the auto company, which on the suggestion of the French government was run on Ara- I'm sorry, Arachide. I'm trying to pronounce that, but essentially, what that is, it's peanut oil. Do you guys want to know who it was who essentially discovered and patented peanut oil? His first name starts with George. His middle name starts with Carver, and his last name starts with Washington. It was run on peanut oil and operated so well that very few people were aware of the fact. You know what? You want to know why? Sorry about that. It's this damn button. It's this damn button. I don't know how this thing gets punched and it'll mute me sometimes. Okay, sorry about that. Um, I was saying you guys can, if you want to look into that, the whole thing about Rudolph Diesel and how he kind of passed away or died. It's under very dubious circumstances. However, um, from my understanding, so that second round of funding, uh, the money was a part of the Bosch group. Okay, Bosch, the company, the German automotive components manufacturer. They make turbos, they make electronic systems for for cars and all kind of commercial applications and stuff. Bosch. Okay, so once the diesel engine itself was just humming right along, do you realize how much more you can make it out, kick out more power if you slapped a turbo on it? And guess just so who happened to make turbos? Bosch. So Bosch dumped a bunch of money into that second version of the motor, that the diesel engine that ended up operating properly. And from my knowledge, uh, Diesel wasn't trying to give up his shit like that, and it was the Bosch group that basically took him out and took it. That's the story that I've heard. So, again, giving you guys uh just some a backdrop on this old world energy paradigm, and um there's these players in terms of names, right? Your Booker T. Washington's, George Washington Carver's. Those two names have come up in this live stream, and we're talking about old world energy production. We're talking about commercial equipment industrialization, trying to give it an image. So when we talk about what the Tuskegee Institute was really trying to do in terms of educating and training in the technical and industrial fields, where you can see the type of machinery that was there at the time. So these institutions, these weren't just some podunk, uh, you know, trailer park schools or some shit. I mean, think about y- you have a German engineer. I'm sorry, not German, French engineer, Rudolf Diesel, who's using whose engine, the use case utilized peanut oil created by George Washington Carver. And these are the connections that we need to draw here, and what parts and what roles we played in global industrialization. There's not an industrialized country on this planet that does not utilize diesel technology. Not a one. So let's do this. Um, because I forgot. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. This actually applies to both. This applies to both steam engines and diesel, or what they call hit and miss. So these were like farm engines. So these would be like a stationary or a standalone engine that would have like a drive wheel. They'd have a flywheel on one side and a drive wheel on the other. And then you slap a belt on the drive wheel. That belt is connected to a line shaft, and then that line shaft spins like a bunch of different machines, dynamos. So, for example, a dynamo, and I'll show you guys a dynamo here in a second. A dynamo, um, lathes, crushers, grinders, mills, right? So it would be one engine that would spin a shaft, and then all of these various machines had a belt that was attached to a wheel that was attached to that shaft that was being spun by this one engine. And that's how you would have like a whole shop or a manufacturing plant or something like that set up. So here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Wait. Oh shit, I forgot to post that link. I'll go back to it and do it. All right. This right here, for those of y'all if you can see it, this is a steam powered line shaft machine shop. So you have the steam engine right there, and what it does is it's spinning all these shafts, right? That are up on the ceiling. So there's these shafts, and there's all these various wheels, and then the belts attach, and then the belts go down, and then they spin a wheel on the actual machine. So the machine itself isn't powered. It's powered by the belt, which is being spun on a line shaft by one singular steam engine. And that one singular steam engine spins all of these lines at the top. And then you have all of these machines down on the ground that are attached via belts. Okay. And I will show it again for those of y'all that these are what old world machine shops look like. So there's your steam engine right there, right? Your primary power source, and it's spinning it's spinning a series of line shafts that are connected by a series of belts. And these are what old world machine shops look like. This is how they operated. You could even use water wheels off of like a stream or something to spin this and do the same thing, right? Grain mills, wood mills, machine shops. This is how things were done in the old world. And there were different types of um, power sources to spin these. You could use a steam engine, you could use a diesel engine to do it. Right. And I totally forgot to preface this, but um you know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna do it. It's all right. The moment's kind of passed. The whole thing was is that I was supposed to preface this by saying that we wanted to correlate this type of technology to even like new modern day technology. And by doing this, what I wanted to do was post a live stream we did, episode 635, where we talked about steam powered cube satellites, right? So steam power is not, it hasn't gone away, right? As something, that's thought to be utilized. So that's episode 635 right there, right? Space and technology, where we covered steam powered satellites, CubeSats, right? So even in the modern day, they're looking at steam to power satellites, right? And what, it's just an old form of energy utilized in a new way, right? But at the time, this was very prevalent. Okay, let's see. Was there anything else? Let me see if there was something else. I got the line shaft covered. Let's see here. I covered the diesel. I covered. Yeah, I think I covered everything that I did want to cover for this one. This one wasn't going to be too long because this really just had to do more with the energy associated with all of the vehicles that we covered in the previous live stream, right? So all the hybrid electric cars, the micromobility stuff, the auto peds, the mid-drive diesel engine bikes, right? So if you were to attach all of that to this right here, you can kind of contrast it to today, where I want to say the Biden administration just passed like some crazy bill for like millions of dollars, right, for EV charging infrastructure, right? And it's for sort of like underdeveloped and then, so let's say, underserved areas. They say that when they mean black neighborhoods and stuff like that, right? To build out the charging infrastructure, right? But we covered the same thing in the old world EV. live stream where they were talking about building out charging infrastructure and all that at the time. And that guy Fritchley, he developed chargers that went right along with his cars, much like Tesla does it, right? So again, we're correlating the old world with this new fourth industrial paradigm. And I got to tell you, the deeper that you dig into it, the more the thought processes and the mindset is literally the same. Like when they say no idea is new or original, or they say nothing's new under the sun, it's the it is the honest to God truth. Right. You almost wonder, like, people who come up with shit today, if really they didn't get the idea from just doing the shit that I do. When I'm for shits and giggles, just read stuff and go, huh, what if I did that? And then you come up with like some new modern concept or something, right? So let me check the chat. I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know. Let me know if y'all down to. I'll drop the link, man. We can chop it up for those y'all want to talk about it. I think it's some pretty interesting shit. Um, you let me know. Well, here's what I'll do. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go take a quick bathroom break. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break, and I'm gonna post this link right here. And if y'all want to come on up, you can. Give me just a couple minutes. I will be right back. Let me just type this in so everybody knows. Intermission. Okay, be right back, y'all. All right, all right, all right. We are back. Well, I am back. Yeah, it's just me. Okay. So let's see here. I dropped the link. I didn't think anybody would want to come up on this one. This is more of kind of like just a a piece on, again, overall technology. This is the third part, and kind of like my own little sub series. Um, if you notice, like maybe say like if you just type in Black Brain Trust, Black Cultural Intelligence, maybe like the last shoot 10 live streams under that title is going to be either myself or Rael, right? Whether it's the overall technology or the Booker T series or the current Carter G. Woodson live series that he's doing, right? But all of this ties into this time period and what was going on at the time, what was actually popping. Because truth be told, it's like, if you were to listen to like certain teachers who call themselves masters in this space, right? This is literally the shit that you're not gonna hear from him or them for that matter. Oddly enough, right? You'll be told, yeah, I've talked about this. No proof, no nothing, right? Right. Over here, we live it. This stuff is a passion of mine. You can go to my Instagram, dude, and I've got like before my even with my YouTube channel before it was torn out. If you really dug back into it, I had videos where I was tearing down engines and stuff, tearing these things. I was live streaming it. I would just flip the camera on and just for like an hour or two, just tear down an engine, do whole restorations, rebuilds, and all this kind of stuff. And the whole crankshaft piston rod, cylinder head, that whole schema when it comes to energy production in the form of an engine is not a new idea. The basic concept has worked with it. Look, it even works with a Stirling engine. Let me show you guys what a Stirling engine is, because a Stirling engine is actually the engine that even precedes a steam engine. Here, let me pull it up. A Stirling engine is a hot air engine. I'll show you what that looks like here. You know what? Let me do this instead. Give you a better visual. I mean, this is what was being used in like the 1700s, 1600s. I already showed you guys there were robots back in that time with the Automata live stream. It's like we have to get used to this notion of this idea that you know this place you call Earth has been more technically advanced for a longer period of time than you think, in the most literal way possible. Let me find it. Let me find a good video of one operating. There you go. Here's one right here. Let's see here. So I'm gonna show you what a Stirling engine is. So this predates a steam engine. A Stirling engine is a hot air engine. So it's just basically hot air compression. So there's a cylinder and there's a fire under that. And so the hot air basically creates pressure and it spins a rod, right? There's the piston, the rod, and then it spins the cylinder. And this is just him making it, but that's a Stirling engine right there. And that's based on literally heat and air. Okay. So you go from heat and air, and then you go heat, air, water. And so what that does is that gives you more energy efficiency. Okay. Then you go to a more combustible material, such as a peanut oil, an oil. Okay, and that gives you more efficiency than steam. So at every juncture, you're jumping the efficiency train, right? In terms of energy production. So this was the thought at the time, and you see it today. Well, these very hydrogen fuel cells, right? Um, what you call it? The flux motors, the new fandangled electric motors that are like it's like the size of a football, but they can put out like 500 horsepower, right? The axial flux motors, um, different types of electric motor designs, planetary gear, integrated gear designs, in wheel motors, hub motors, right? All these different types. It's the same sort of thought concepts in terms of engineering, right? But again, we're just trying to relate it back to the time where you had our truest luminaries like your Booker T's, your Garveys, your Carvers, your Woodsons, right? I'm saying the circle, the sphere of influence, right? The things that they were involved in and engaged in, you're seeing it. Visually, you just saw it, what was going on, right? So the question then becomes, how were we removed from this? See, when you start looking and seeing things like this, you start to get more of a visual of what even something like a Black Wall Street looked like, what those businesses had going on and stuff like that. I mean, I read Elijah McCoy's bio from the wiki, and working out of his pop's workshop and all that, and look what he was creating and inventing. Got all them damn patents. Okay, drop the links for the patents as well. So it's something definitely worth digging into. And again, this was a follow up to the Old World Automotive and the Automata Old World Robotics. So just so that you guys know, we're following a theme here. We have automation, robotics, AI algorithms, and the Automata live stream, right? Electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, micromobility. That was the old world live stream with regards to that. Then we're talking about energy production. The old world is not as old as we think. And brothers like Booker T and Marcus Garvey and George Washington Carver, and there's tons more. But let me tell you something. Their minds were right. Their minds were right. I'm not sure who got us off course, but here's what I do know. Based on just even the bit that we've covered this evening here, you can see where we had a hand in some shit. Okay, this none of this pops off without us. That's the ultimate point. I'm really trying to drive home, not only with this one but the previous ones as well. So, with that, um, I will go ahead and shut this down. We are literally at an hour, so we'll go ahead and just clip it at an hour. That works. The next one, I'm gonna need a little time to put the next one together, man. This is gonna have to do with different forms of travel. So we're talking about airships, dirigibles, funiculars, rail cars, right? That one's. I have some of the material together for that one as well. I'm gonna probably need like another month for that one though, because that one's you guys are gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, dude, all this shit existed, man. It was all here. Hey man, hey Emmanuel, I appreciate it, dude. This is just stuff I geek out on, man. Like, when I'm working during the day and stuff, I just have like, things playing in my earphones while I'm doing things, right? And I'm just, uncovering new things and stuff. And um hopefully I'm, really kind of providing some puzzle pieces, kind of putting them in place, maybe answering some questions. Or, maybe you guys have ever had those questions where you wonder certain things and then it's like, oh shit, okay, that's what it was. You know what I mean? But like I said, more than anything, man, I want us to understand that, you know, for all of the matriarchy, gynocracy, think about all the bullshit you get bombarded with, not only in this manosphere space, but let's just say even in like the other social media platforms, right? Like I'm not big on IG, so my IG stuff doesn't look like how say like my YouTube feed, and then Facebook, dude, I'm hardly ever there, right? So um my feeds are largely edited, but a lot of people, their feeds are consumed with a lot of bullshit, and it's a lot of bullshit that distorts actual history. You get what I'm saying? It omits a lot of details, right? And a lot of those details have black faces, faces that resemble mine and resemble yours. Sisters too, if there's any of y'all listening, okay? Because Ryle's got something for that, by the way. Sisters in business and um, what was going on with them at the time and the type of stuff we were doing in terms of forming a block, black men and women. This was not a separate thing. So he's got a lot to put on that one. No doubt, Spawn. Absolutely, bro. As always. Big bro, you know it, man. Ain't taking no shorts, man. No shorts. Word up, man. Hey, I'm glad we could be of service. You know what I'm saying? So check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down, man. This will be one of those kind of like those sort of concentrated pills, so to speak, right? We're in here, an hour, we up out of here, right? So let's do this. Like the video if you haven't, sub if you haven't, share it. So I'm thinking, this could crack a few domes. You know what I'm saying? With that, we're gonna check up out of here. Peace, y'all.